we're going to have all the pedals on at once.
Okay. Turn all the gain off, so we can bring it up. we'll just go signal path and see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
We'll go bridge on the 66 Strat, which is going to hum like you wouldn't believe, I imagine.
All right, buckle up.
Hi folks, Nathaniel here at Chicago Music Exchange, and I'm joined by Zach from Mythos Pedals.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
We did a podcast.
We did.
And then we haven't spoke.
Yes.
And
I tried calling you, but you never answered.
well, you know, I'm just a busy guy.
Clearly, you know. But anyway, you're here now. We're only joking, of course.
Yeah.
And you are obviously here with Mythos Pedals. You're showing. I mean, you've got a great board here set up. I've been playing around with it all morning and having a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I sent this to the shop for CME to have, just to use at their disposal. So if anyone wants to come and play it. But yeah, it makes it a lot easier doing these sort of things to have it all ready to go. You just have to plug it in.
There you go.
But yeah, so it's not the entire lineup, but the majority of the stuff we make is here. And we can just run through some stuff, talk about tones, sounds, pedal philosophy, our approach to the minimalistic design. I think we share that sort of approach to guitar in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just have some fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so what got you into making your own pedals?
I started, like a lot of people in the early 2000s, just modifying stuff. And I bought, Brian Wampler had a book, and Robert Keeley used to post all of his stuff on his website. Years and years ago, like he would post his Tube Screamer mods and his Bluesbreaker mods and all that stuff. And so I got really curious because when at a very young age, my father gave me a soldering iron, which is not the safest
not the
toy to play with, but I had one. And so I knew like the basics of it, but I taught myself how to mod. And then I just kind of slowly but surely got into pedal making. And then the Mjolnir, that was the first one I made in about 2010. And it's just because I couldn't afford a Klon. Back then they were, I don't know, $500 or $600.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, who could afford it? Yeah. So I made my own, and that kind of snowballed. Like one became two, someone told somebody else, and it just built and built. And now we're here.
And now we're here. Obviously the snowball has continued. And I mean, now from my perspective, what are some of the most difficult things about making a pedal?
It kind of depends on what the pedal is trying to do. I think for us, it's trying to convey a simple, not only aesthetic, but design approach, and how our philosophy is kind of, we want the pedal to get out of the way of your guitar playing. Even if it's, you know, a delay or a vibrato that's getting weird and it's very obvious that there's an effect on, I'd never want it to feel like an impediment to the guitar.
Right.
And so I think that is the hardest thing, like getting it to feel right under your fingers, because we've all played stuff that kind of disconnects you from a guitar, and that's great. That is a viable design thing and a viable choice, because oftentimes you can achieve sounds without having that.
Of course.
But I just want it to feel like an extension, no matter how crazy the effect is. I never want to lose that connection with my fingertips.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's another kind of color for your palate, so to speak, the way I think of it anyway. And I mean, you mentioned earlier, and I'm a huge fan of it, is your simplicity.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely love it, because now I'm not a pedal snob or anything, but it's like sometimes when I see pedals, it doesn't say what it does on the front. That's just me.
Yeah.
Maybe being silly, but it drives me mad.
Right. Yeah. I never want there to be. We don't print any manuals. We don't include any manuals.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it needs it. I feel like the moment it needs it, it's like that for me. It's kind of, it doesn't put up a wall, but it slows down the enjoyment of playing guitar.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, we kind of, our creativity kind of lives and dies in those moments.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's kind of like where I think about this.
Yeah.
Is that I never want it to, like, I have to stop and think about what does what, or is there another mode? Like I said, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I just love the act of playing guitar, especially just a guitar into a really good amp.
Exactly.
And I want these just to be an extension of that.
Yeah, of course. Now, like I said, I've been playing some of these all morning. I have had experience with most of them. I haven't played the Fates before.
Yes.
And this is the latest edition, right?
Yes, the Herculean Deluxe.
Yes. So, I mean, explain more about the Herculean Deluxe to me then.
Right. So this is, the community at large wanted us to make a 2-in-1. And I was really reticent to do it because everyone does it. And I want to do something new and different and something that I had not done before. And really everyone was just asking for a really good do-it-all overdrive and a blues breaker. Yeah. And so I did the best I could do with that. So the left side is our Herculean circuit, which is kind of a Swiss Army knife, almost like a D-style amp in a box.
Right.
Not exactly, but it kind of has that sort of personality to it. And then the right side is the Runestone, which is a pedal we made years ago, which is a really modified blues breaker circuit. Right. So it's louder, more bass, not as bright, and they stack really well. This is an order toggle. And it's still really simple. You can't split each side independently. Right. There's a few switches inside to change how it distorts and clips. Yeah. But it's just a really straightforward Swiss Army knife of a drive. And we think the tagline we came up was, "This is your drive section." Right. Like, just this. That's all you need.
Well, that's cool though. That's all you need. I mean, should we check out how it sounds?
Absolutely.
Well, right? So I'll stay on the bridge.
So this side we'll keep the gain low and kind of ratchet it up and see what it does. Really thick. Yeah. You can dump a lot of the bass. The drive and the bass knob are kind of connected to each other. Yeah. So if it feels a little too heavy in the low end when you turn it up, you can back that off. Or if you want to dump all the bass, dump all the treble, make it really smoky, you can do that too. It's mid forward without being too overtly honky. Yeah. But it's a really good straightforward drive. And then this side is a little more flat. It's not got that mid hump. Yeah.
Sounds great.
And then you can combine them. Yeah. So depending on what order, it will kind of change how they feel under your fingers. So either a little more tight or a little more compressed. Yeah. So if you, whichever side it's pointed to, that circuit's first. Okay. So really straightforward. So if we run this into this.
I mean, that's a handy little tool.
I think it's a must-have. Yeah. It's the thing that everyone asks about. It has to have an order toggle. Yeah. So I put it there.
That's
there.
a nice little touch.
So we'll stack them a little bit.
Yeah.
then if we flop it,
That sounds good, man.
so it stays a little tighter when it's that way. The other side's a little more compressed.
Yeah.
The sound isn't drastically different, but it feels different.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying about the tightness as well.
Yeah.
Which is what I like in that kind of overdone sound. Now, have you got any favorite type of settings with this pedal?
I like it set this way.
Yeah.
And running this is kind of like a mid-boosted overdrive into this is more of like a loud, just a boost platform sort of thing. So let's try that. So we'll turn this on first, then we'll hit it with that.
Did you want to go?
Sure.
Why not?
Lovely guitar.
Not a bad one.
So we'll run this. This will be the one that this is hitting.
Right.
Kind of gives you those a bit of a TS sort of thing, slamming into an amp.
Yeah.
That sort of personality. And so I really like running it like that.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds wonderful. That is, for me personally, that is exactly what I'd want in an overdrive type setting. Like I can do my kind of overdriven rhythm playing. Obviously kick on the other side as well for a little bit of a boost or lead playing, and it's simple. So.
Yeah, and normally when I'm running amps, I run them really hot.
Yeah.
And I want everything to be able to go into the amp and not overwhelm it. That has a lot of gain on it, but usually I'm running at pretty low gain.
Yeah.
Because my amps are kind of already doing all that heavy lifting for me.
And I imagine even just rolling off the volume on the actual guitar as well, it can become very dynamic.
Yeah,
sort of.
yeah. So even, we're having both of those.
Very
So it works.
responsive, yeah. I mean, that is cool.
Yeah.
Loving that.
So, you haven't really had a mess with this yet.
Only this morning I've been messing around with it.
Okay.
Not for long, just before you got here.
So here, I'm going to turn the knobs. You get back to that.
Okay.
You're better at that than me.
No.
So the Fates is our completely analog chorus. Uses 3207 chips, which is kind of like the chip from a small stone.
Right.
But this circuit is based off more of the CE2 sort of thing. It's an amalgam of all my favorite chorus ideas. Vibrato switch, but just running it in chorus mode, it does that classic thing. We've expanded the range and revoiced it. So this is my favorite setting.
Right. That's lovely and warm.
Yeah, it has an input buffer, as this JFET that gives it a lot more compression. It doesn't feel as thin as some choruses do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a total viable thing, but we wanted it to be a little fatter. But when you start bringing the rate up, you can get pseudo Leslie thing. You can do all the classic things.
Someone felt that organ type got. That's cool.
Yeah. And then you can kill the dry to get pure vibrato.
Yeah.
A little bit of a Schofield thing can
Yeah.
happen, but you can get really wacky with it if you want.
We always like that. That's cool. That's cool.
It's a fun effect. It's like, that's something that, again, the community said has to have vibrato.
Yeah.
It's not a sound that I normally go for, but
Yeah.
it works really well.
Well, I mean, the thing with that, obviously, because it looks so simple, but there's actually a hell of a lot you can do with that,
Yeah.
which is cool.
And initially I thought maybe we do like another foot switch that changes like the knob settings or something, but
Yeah.
again, I feel like with 2 big knobs, if you're nimble-footed enough, you can just put your foot down there.
There you go.
And change everything on the fly.
Exactly.
But I love that. And then combining it with this, which I mean, this has been out for a while.
Yeah.
Our Oracle analog echo uses 2 3205 chips, 600 milliseconds on the knob. And I don't know if you've ever really messed with.
I've messed around with that, but you obviously know more than me.
You can take it beyond the knob, and it'll start to break down. The chips can't handle it. So it sounds kind of like a Walkman's dying or something. It's weird, but it's a cool effect.
Yeah, well, should we?
Yeah, here, you start playing. So there's that. So here's the max on the knob. Right? But
oh, that's cool.
well, it's gonna drop the pitch of the repeats. It's weird, but then if you want to just go back to normal.
But that's cool though.
Yeah. But the fun thing about this for me is because the tap works really quick.
Yeah.
You can actually get some really cool oscillation things. Do you mess much with oscillation, Nathaniel?
I'm not even sure what that means.
Okay.
I've heard the term.
Hit a note and then I'll show you what it means.
I didn't know it could do that.
Yes, but then
That's cool as shit.
yeah.
I didn't know it could do that.
Yeah, it's really fun because it taps really fast.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you tap twice, you're at the new time.
Yeah.
So you can oscillate and do really weird stuff. But it also does like slap and stuff really well.
That sounds
Fun.
like them two together. Yeah.
Have you messed with this yet?
I have. I messed with that in conjunction with that,
Yes.
and it was incredible.
The fun thing about this is that you can combine it with anything. Because I heard you riffing on some ZZ Top, which
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate with the Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Because that's home.
Yeah.
My poor wife has to suffer through all my terrible ZZ Top riff. But yeah, so the Argonaut, I thought this has to be on the board because it's such a fun thing to combine. So if we're rocking the Fleece,
Yeah.
which is, let's get a little something with that. So the Fleece, this is just volume.
Yeah.
Everything else is on your guitar. So
Yep.
it's your fingers and your volume knob. So and then flip up that neck pickup. Play a foot like here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There, you can hear it popping out in the in-between,
Yeah.
like in the sustain.
Yeah.
It's really fun. And then with the more traditional overdrive, like the Mjolnir or the Chupacabra,
Yeah.
we'll get a different effect when you put it in front of that. So with this,
Now that's cool.
yeah.
That's fun.
Really great.
Yeah.
Just a fun addition, and you can use it with anything. So if we're using the Chupacabra. That's it.
But yeah, it's just so simple to get those cool sounds.
And this is directly because of the one and only Mr. Josh Smith.
Yeah.
Saying I need that, but really little, with no knobs and nothing. I was like, yes, sir.
Done.
And it's just a really fun thing to throw on a board, and you can hide it because it's small.
Now, I mean, I'll ask some personal-ish questions.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine you can only have 3 pedals.
Yeah.
What would it be? I know it's a bit cheesy, but it's interesting though to get your
Well,
thoughts.
if I can't, let's say I can't have this, because that's kind of cheating.
Right.
You know, a
It's
little
good,
bit.
though.
It is good.
Yeah.
But for me, I have to have an echo.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have reverb, I always say if you're loud enough, you can make your own reverb,
True.
which I think is,
I like that.
You
I'll
know,
steal
that's
that,
a
yeah.
great approach.
I keep telling them here.
Yeah.
You know,
I have to have this. I would probably have this because
Yeah.
it's always fun to add some wiggle to your sound,
Yeah.
even if it's just kind of hidden in the background.
Yeah.
And I love all my children, right?
Of course.
You know.
Yeah.
But this one, the Mjolnir, is kind of, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It just, let's say I can only have 3 just standalone circuits. It would probably be those 3, but it changes.
Yeah.
Like some days I just want this,
Yeah.
and it depends on what amp I have. But
course.
those 3
Yeah.
are kind of it.
I mean, that's not a bad choice to have those 3. I mean, to
Right.
be honest, I'd probably be the same, or maybe those 3.
Yeah.
You know, or it could be the Chupacabra, it could be the Golden Fleece.
Yeah.
I mean, there's loads.
It depends on like what you're trying to accomplish, and that's the thing. It's like I think all of this stuff should just be an extension, like I've said.
Yeah.
But once you kind of find the thing that speaks to you, it just, you have that connection with your guitar and your amp, and you can just stop thinking about it.
Of course.
And
yeah.
that's the most fun part.
Yeah. Now, how did you actually come up with the name Mythos?
Okay, so I grew up in a little town called Sparta, Tennessee.
There we go.
And I at first thought maybe we'll call it mythological, and the old ones had Zeus on it. Everyone thought it was Jesus. It wasn't Jesus. But I was going to call it mythological. It was going to have Zeus on it. And I had a buddy named Mike, and he said, you know, mythos is Greek for myth. And I said, that's great.
That's cool.
And it just sounds way cooler.
Yeah.
So yeah, we branded it that. That was 2010.
Wow.
And we've gone through a lot of like design iterations.
Yeah.
Because I do the art, the most of the circuit stuff. I do have help on some things that are complicated.
Yeah.
But I think we've kind of struck on a design language that really speaks to me as a designer and as a guitar player. Because
Yeah.
my favorite things in the world are old Boss and Ibanez pedals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All the stuff that we grew up playing.
Yeah.
You know, there were no boutique pedals that we could afford.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, and so like these things just kind of speak to that old philosophy.
Of course, yeah. And now, again, I've said I love the simplicity. They're affordable as well, but the sound that you get as well is, well, it's exactly what you'd want,
Yeah.
which is cool. Now, obviously, we have a single coil there.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself playing differently with these pedals with a single coil or humbuckers?
Yeah, I think with the gain stuff, it definitely causes you to approach differently. You hit, you know,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because if you're used to playing humbuckers and you switch to something like a Telecaster, you're gonna pick a little harder to get more out of the guitar.
Yeah.
But they respond differently, especially like the fuzz and the Argonaut reacts a little differently.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we always try everything when we're designing stuff.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
try not to do it in a vacuum, even though there's stuff
Right.
that, like I'm a Les Paul into a cranked, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
Durox amp guy.
Which is a great combo.
it's a
of
great
course.
place to start.
Yeah. Again, I'm not the biggest expert on pedals, but this order here that you've got them
Right.
set up.
Yeah.
I mean, can you explain anything about that
Sure.
to a novice?
Well, so the Golden Fleece is an old school fuzz.
Hmm.
It's based off a pedal that Nels Klein had, apparently, that a buddy lent me. But it no buffers before it. If you have like a tuner or
Right.
even the Mjolnir or the Fates, which is buffered, if it's before it, it will make it sound thinner and it
Right.
won't react the same,
Okay.
which is important. But I'm a lot of people ask, what's the pedal order? Like, how do I set up my pedal board? And if there's anything that I've learned from seeing all my guitar heroes and all the guitar heroes,
Yeah.
there is no order. It's just what works best for you.
Right.
But for me, I think the Argonaut's better after a fuzz and before a drive. I like the modulation after drives, but you know, every famous record we've ever loved,
Yeah.
it was this into an amp that was begging for its life. So it just depends on what the sound in your head is.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that you say that it doesn't matter, because I'll sometimes come down here in a panic because I'll have pedals and it's like, guys, help me out because I'm not sure what order. So it's
Sure.
nice to hear you say that. But also I was going to ask, what kind of particular tones from kind of growing up, you know, when you're learning as a kid, what ones stood out as, wow, I need to chase that sound?
Oh man, the live Crossroads recording of Cream.
Yeah.
Like that, you know, the 335 into the Marshall, the screaming, like that sound is forever just like
Yeah.
burned into my brain from when I was, you know, 15.
Yeah.
But I love ZZ Top, and I feel like Billy, just as a whole, has covered so many different sounds.
Yeah.
And so even now, I'll dive into that. And
Yeah.
those are like Billy and all the guitar heroes, but mainly, you know, him have inspired me probably the most, so
Yeah.
far as like gain things.
Yeah.
Because I feel like delays and stuff, unless you're doing a straight homage to like The Edge or something,
Yeah.
are a bit more anonymous because you can do so much more with them in any context.
Yeah.
But the gain specifically, like ZZ Top is
Yeah.
kind of the pinnacle for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, and like you said, he's got so many variations, you know, from the early Trey Hombres or whatever in the early days. Even like off the top of my head's in Mississippi, you know, or I think another one, is it Rhythmine? I can't even
Rhythmine, yeah.
Rhythmine, you know, from one end to the other. Great tones, but different.
Very different. Because he's just a tone nut. He loves guitar. And so he's just experimenting. And I think that's really inspiring. Because I think a lot of times we as guitarists kind of get trapped in like, you know, I'm going to just play with a Hendrix thing or a John Mayer thing or whatever. And even like those guys, they were just, well, I mean, John's still here, but like are constantly chasing new sounds and pushing the envelope. So yeah, you try to have, you know, keep an open mind for those.
Of course. I mean, it's great that you've kind of modeled a pedal sort of essentially after Billy Gibbons.
Yeah, I mean, it's inspired by that.
Yeah.
It's not a copy of an amp or anything specifically, but it kind of lends that sort of personality. When I was working on this and I found this circuit and started modding it, my wife said, "Oh, that sounds right." And that's when I knew. It's like, because like so often I'm just like staring at, you know, a circuit board and breathing solder smoke, and I don't know anything anymore. And so,
But also, it can be, I imagine, in that situation, it's also a case of like you've heard it for so long that you've kind of become numb to what's going on.
And you kind of have to remember that these things, while they are for me, I'm not going to use these things the same way that the people who buy them are going to use them and make music with them.
Yeah.
And so I have to remember to make stuff that has that sort of connection to someone other than me.
Yeah.
So that's why we try different guitars and amps, and I give them to people and say, "Is this awful?
Right.
You know, let me know, please.
Yeah.
You be honest with me."
Yeah. Now, I'll kind of put you on the spot here. Is there any kind of pedals that you haven't necessarily done yet, but you're thinking about?
Oh yeah, I think about everything.
Yeah.
We really want to do a flanger. We want to do.
I was just thinking of it.
Univibe. Those are hard. You know, both of those are hard circuits.
Really?
To do them right, and because I want to do everything analog and parts in Univibe, they have cadmium in them, which you can't ship anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's complicated, but those sort of things. But we want to push because a lot of these circuits have been out for a while.
Yeah.
And kind of keep pushing these circuits into new places too.
Yeah.
But the modulation and doing more delay stuff, that's on the horizon for
Right. I was going to say, like, delay would be interesting.
Yeah.
I've got a small favor to ask. If you do a delay, will it make me sound like The Edge?
It could.
Can you just do like Streets Have No Name setting? Boom. Just do it.
I can try.
I'm only joking. I mean, if you want to, that'd be great. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go through some of the pedals, some of your favorite settings on some of the pedals, maybe.
Sure, yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, oh yeah. I always forget the. Is this going into the low input? Or the normal?
Normal, I think, yeah. Did you want it in the bright? Or?
Nah, no, it's fine. I you know, just... He's like, what's going on? I remember once because I worked at Carter Vintage.
Yes, you did, yeah.
And Joe Bonamassa was coming in. He was trying to play. We had a high power twin.
Yeah.
He was going to play it, and someone put it in the normal channel, and they had it turned kind of quiet. I was like, no. You put it in the bright, you turn it all the way up. Yeah. And they unplugged it and put it back the other way. And as soon as he got in, he's like, "What are you guys doing?" He put it in the bright, and he turned it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
We can do it. We can
No. This is great. So yeah, let's see. With single coils. that sort of thing.
There we go. Yes.
Fun.
Can you get me the Give Me All Your Loving tone? Or Legs?
Well, you know all those riffs?
Vaguely. Put me on the spot. I'm putting
see.
you on the spot as well.
Yeah, it's like having to...
Tone blind.
I mean, the Chupacabra is kind of... It's like, you know, it's kind of the Billy thing. Let's
Yeah.
see.
That's not bad. That does sound pretty good.
Those four.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
So wait, what's going on here?
That's the Fleece into the Chupacabra with the Fates set really low with some echo on. So this is just like the thickening agent.
Yeah. Wait. I would never think to do that.
So this has a buffer in it that it kind of lifts it up, because sometimes choruses will like kind of fall below unity.
Yeah.
You kind of you hear it, but you disappear a little bit. And well, I wanted it to kind of keep that power to it, and so that you can hear it making it a little bit louder, but it also kind of tightens it all together.
Yeah.
Because without it,
Yeah, that I would never think to do that.
there's a little bit of a preamp in there
Yeah.
on the input stage. Not too dissimilar from a CE1, but
Yeah.
not exactly that.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's fun. It's kind of just a sound better.
Yeah, but I mean,
box.
you're showing me little tricks here that
I think
would've got.
I'm never afraid to turn all the knobs all the way down.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we get like, oh, you know, if it's not at noon, it's not working.
Well, I was going to say, like, is that a lot of that seems like the stuff of myth or legend, or
Yeah, and
people are, dare I say, religious about that stuff.
right. And I think there's an expectation, like we all kind of just expect everything at noon to work, and with some stuff, granted, with an overdrive, it might be too dark.
Yeah.
If you turn it all the way down, but like on the Herculean, the clarity all the way down still has enough bite to push through.
Right.
So I encourage everyone to turn everything down. Even this, I mean, if both the rate and depth are down, it's not doing anything. But there's a little something. It's a little.
It's slightly chimey.
It's an effect.
Yes. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Nathaniel, what's your favorite analog chip?
I don't know. I do. I tell you what. I've got a chorus pedal that I've got a Ibanez.
Yeah.
CS9.
See, it's a vintage one. It's like purple.
Mm-hmm.
A 9. Yeah, there's a 9 on
Two
it.
knobs.
Two knobs.
Looks like a tube screamer.
Yeah.
I think CS9.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah. I've got one of
like
them, and I like that because again, it's simple.
Sure.
That's a nice warm sound. We do have. David A wanted to mess around with it. What's the bit? Is the chorus ensemble where it comes with its own plug? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the CE1, a Roland.
Yeah,
Classic.
That's like the chorus pedal,
That's
allegedly.
the
right?
one. Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
It's the chorus from the jazz chorus.
I mean, I won't mind.
Pedals do you have?
In terms of the ones that I really
You
use,
actually use, yeah.
I have the Protein, which is a good pedal.
Yes.
I'm trying to think what else now. I've got a few delay pedals, a few little bits here and there. Like I said, I like the Protein pedal, chorus. Again, I would love a delay pedal, a simple enough one that would just make me do the edge type stuff, and which is
he used two. So
that's the thing.
That's
the
trick.
Yeah, and I've seen videos of people explain how to do it, and it's still, to me, complicated as hell. But that's just me, I'm afraid. Sure. Yeah, I don't know what else. Yeah. Really, I'm fairly simple. Like I like just overdrives, just basic, easy to use ones. Yeah, they'd be the main ones. If say for example, if I was to have only 3 or 4 pedals for the rest of my life, it'd be something like that with a double. Chorus, like you said, probably maybe a reverb pedal.
Yeah.
Just in case I can't be loud enough. Echo's good. Yeah, 2 tuners. I'm a big fan of tuners as well. And yeah, I think that'd be it. I'm fairly.
That's the joke that your pedal board would just be 4 tuners.
Yeah, yeah. But also because the way I say tuner as well, tuner and tuna fish.
Sure. Yeah.
So. Not all the pedals that you've made are on here, right? But I suppose we would urge people to go to your website to check out.
Yeah, go to ChicagoMusicExchange.com. You guys have everything on there. If you want to get more detail, you can go to my website and watch some more in-depth videos about each specific one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a pretty big lineup. And the idea with this was to have something that reflects what the shop sells really well and that people can try and would be fun for them without overwhelming anyone.
Which is good. Incredible pedals. Thank you so much for stopping by and for really going in depth. I'm still mind blown by what you did with that because I didn't know it could do that.
I know, it's weird. Most people email and say, "Hey, it's broken."
Yeah.
Just gonna change it back.
Yeah. Like, no, cool. Just turn the knob.
Really impressed with this. Looking forward to checking this out more. But again, thank you so much for stopping by and hopefully you'll be back again soon.
Absolutely.
Next time we've got to jam some ZZ Top.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Little overtones there. But that's cool though. Again.